What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Hope everybody's having a good evening so far. Sending all the links out here to people. What's up, Mark? Let's get you in here, brother. Get you all situated. What's up, Marky Mark? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I'm echoing. Did you get my camera recorded?
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on here.
There we go. I'm still echoing. Probably just need to cut it down on your end. Papa Craig.
I have to keep my volume up or I can barely hear you.
Oh, that's right. Let's see. See if I can do something here. Yeah, we're trying to figure that out, Papa Craig.
It's not echoing on my end, but I don't hear it.
Yeah, it's echoing on my end. See, we got Pickles. Maybe he can help us. Yo, Pickles. Let's see here.
You don't think it's because my mics, do you?
It might be. You got your own microphone there?
Yeah. Hang on, let me turn it off and unhook it, and we'll try that.
Okay. How about now? Ooh, can you hear me? I can't hear you though. Yep. God bless America. What's up, Brett? Hey, how about now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Take care of the echo.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Okay.
There we go.
I didn't know whether you'd be able to hear me if I didn't have the mics on. So
No, Papa Craig just said much better. So there we go. All right, we got it.
Yay.
I'm actually back in our warehouse here at work, and that's probably why you can see the chrome dome all nice and shiny because I ain't got a hat either.
I actually worked the shop today.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll get into that here in a little bit. But let me go ahead and go on here and let me do my little spiel here because we got people coming in left and right. I hope everybody had a great July 4th yesterday. I know I did. I was off work, and that was fantastic. But welcome to Calling All Bowlers, episode 22. We are talking to the man, the myth, and the future sponsor of every over 50 product here in the foreseeable future, my man, Mr. Mark Dillard. Mark, welcome to the show, my friend. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Michael. I'm going to enjoy this. This is going to be fun being here.
Yes, it is. So when we get to talking about a certain part, and I think you know what I'm talking about, I cannot find a way to show the pictures while on here. I have not become that proficient yet. I wish I could, but unfortunately I can't because
email them back to me.
Oh, you should be in your sent folder.
No, do me a favor. Email them to a different email address because I don't have my one email address set up on this computer.
Oh, well, if I try to do that now, I can't. Yeah,
mess it up.
Yeah, real deal. Thanks for the follow. But hey, look, you're a really good storyteller, so we're gonna go with that. You answer real deal. Yes, Mark will be. We are You are part of Calling All Bowlers episode 22. For anybody that is new out there, the goal for Calling All Bowlers is that my goal is to interview at least one bowler in every state in the country. But Mark will be my third one from the great state of Tennessee. And I got Mark on here because he's the only 10 I see. If Curtis was watching, that would have been a great time for that one. You know, I probably should have said that one.
That would have been the dad joke of the day.
That would have been a good one. Dadgummit, man. So, but stay tuned because, like I said, Mark is very proficient in answering questions as well. He does work in Bowling World Pro Shops part-time. That's correct, right? I did that. Okay, good.
I'm the on-call cover people when they go on vacation guy.
Yes. See, Brent thought it was amazing, and you are amazing too, ma'am, and thank you. If anybody needs to know a history of Calling All Bowlers, Miss Britt was my very first guest from episode 1. So she could tell you she is like the original OG for Calling All Bowlers as far as guests go.
Miss Swipe Right herself.
That's right, Miss Swipe Right. That is correct. So, you know, I was going through this itinerary again, and we got a lot of good stuff to help people get to know Mark even more than people may already know you. I know, again, there are some pictures that you sent me. We're going to get into that and, you know, just basically tell your story here, Mark. So we're going to start with an easy question here. And, you know, your answer to this was we were going to wing it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about the man that is Mark Dillard?
The man that's Mark Dillard. Let's see. I've been bowling all of my life. It's kind of been my number one love and passion. I don't know what else to say other than that. I dabble in a little bit of everything. I'm an expert in nothing. I enjoy a lot of different things. And we'll get into, when we go through these questions, we're going to get into a lot of it, all the way from childhood kind of on up to today. So you'll get to learn a lot about me through these questions.
Absolutely. First thing is first. So you're from Nashville. Where are you at currently?
Currently, I'm in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. I am about 8 miles east of the international airport. So
okay.
They take off and land over my house all the time.
So the sound of jets and stuff doesn't bother you, does it?
Nope. Jets. We got 2 military bases within 20 miles of here. We have military helicopters and jets and commercial stuff. We've got everything. Air traffic's pretty heavy around here.
Okay. So getting into it here, we obviously, like I said, you know, you said bowling's your first passion, but you do have some other hobbies and interests. So why don't you let everybody out there know what are those other hobbies and interests?
My other hobbies and interests, as anybody that's on here knows me, is watching hockey. I am a huge hockey fan. Hockey to me is the number one sport on the planet. And we had minor league hockey here in Nashville when I was growing up. And with my grandfather and father being born and not raised, born Michigan people, they were always Red Wings fans. But our family nights when I was single digit and early teens was season tickets to the minor league hockey team here in Nashville. So that was our family nights. So I grew up watching it. So that's a big deal to me. My son plays it. He is a goaltender on the Division III team at Missouri State University. So he's a college athlete, which we are very proud of. And even more proud of that he's on the Dean's List. He made the Dean's List both semesters his freshman year. Really, really good kid. He's up in Maine right now as a goaltending coach for a girls hockey camp. So it's a multi-sport camp, but he's on the hockey end of it. So he's in charge of coaching the female goaltenders ages 8 to 16. So he's having a time of his life right now. So we're real proud of him. He's a really good guy and he's never given us any problems as a kid. He's a tightwad with money, which is a good thing. So again, me and his mother are really, really proud of him. So the two things that I enjoy doing most are golf and fishing outside of bowling. Fishing being number 2, golf being number 3. Being on my boat, on the lake. There's no place I'd really rather be. It's a place to reset. It's a place to unwind. It's just me and Mother Nature. I do fish tournaments just like I bowl tournaments also, and I win some money here and there at it. But it's not about that. It's more about just resetting from the daily grind. It's just very relaxing and very calming. So and then of course I like golf. I was forced to start that in my 20s from when I was working at the bowling center in Hermitage. I had some friends of mine in management there forced me to start playing golf. I couldn't stand it. Thought it was the dumbest game on the planet. But once I did it the first time, I fell in love with it and played it a lot in my 20s and early 30s. Now I play it once or twice a year, so it's just don't have time for it anymore. But I absolutely love it when I get a chance to go do it.
So, what would you say your lifetime handicap is in golf?
When I was playing, I've never tried to keep my handicap. I've never tried to play tournaments or anything like that. At my peak, I was shooting in the mid to upper 70s consistently. Now, if I break 90, I'm pretty happy. But as long as I don't lose a golf ball all day, golf balls are too expensive to lose. As long as I don't lose a golf ball, I'm happy man now.
You know, a long time ago, my granddaddy, my dad's dad, he used to be a marshal out here at Sunset Landing, right by Huntsville International, and he'd always get a free round every month. And he'd ask me if I wanted to come out and play with him. I said, "Well, you're going to be out there a while because I'm terrible. So if you're shooting 90, I'm probably shooting double that. I'm probably shooting like 160, 170 because it's terrible."
We wouldn't let you do that. Double par, pick it up. Let's move on to the next hole.
It's almost like I was like, I got to 8. I was like, I want the snowman. Let's go for the snowman.
Snowman. Absolutely.
Okay, so you're into fishing, you're into bowling, you're into golfing. You like hockey, and obviously we got a good background on where the hockey portion of this came from. But where did the fishing come from?
That came from my father. My family's always been we're outdoorsy country people who live in the city. So my father's dying or his not dying wish. He's not dying yet, but he's always said he wants to be cremated. I'm supposed to take the urn, put him in the boat, run 70 miles an hour down the lake, and open the top. That's where he wants to be.
Okay.
On the lake. So that love comes from him.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with fishing. It ain't something I'm good at. I've been a couple of times in my life, but I can definitely see where I like what you said when you answered the questionnaire. You said it's very quiet and relaxing, just you and Mother Nature, no TV, no phone, no emails, and deadgum if that ain't the truth now, man. I feel like that's where we're kind of lacking is not a lot of people just get outside anymore.
Yeah, we used to take a trip. My father still does it. With everything I've got going on, I just don't have time to take that much time in the summer off for work. But we used to go to Canada every year on a 5.5-day fishing trip. And literally, we put the boat in the water in Minnesota, drove through 5 lakes, and put it on a portage trailer, which is on train tracks, if nobody knows what that is, to put the boat in different lakes. So we did that twice. And where we were, the only people that were up there was this fishing camp, which had 20 to 40 people a week, and the native Indians the Chippewa Indians that lived on Aquetico National Reservation. There is no phone service. There are no TVs. There is no internet. It's just you and Mother Nature, and it is such a relaxing getaway. Catch fish, now granted, catching fish is fun. You're catching 100 fish a day, but just being away from everything is a great way to relax and reset.
As I'm sure that the Native Americans intended for it to be, as you just so eloquently described it. Well, so a little bit of get to know Mark right there. We're going to go into the non-bowling related part of the show right here. And right off the bat, I know you said you've achieved most of them. So why don't you tell us like those life goals that you have achieved?
Well, I like to consider myself a good father, a good husband, and successful at the endeavors that I've taken on, whether it be in the bowling business or the industry that I'm in now. And I'm not rich. I didn't get rich doing it. When I say successful, it does not mean rich. It just means that I don't worry about job security. I do my job to the best of my ability at all times, and I make a good enough living that I help support my family. and that to me, that's the definition of success. It's not about how much money you got. It's about what kind of person you are. And I'd like to consider myself a pretty good guy. Most people think I am, and I'm a pretty good family guy. So,
Well, tell us this, Mark. 2 parts here. What's the secret to being a great husband, and what is the secret to being a great father?
a great father, that part is just always being there. Don't neglect any time that you've got. Uh, just to go over a little bit of the personal situation here, my son's mother, who I'm with now, we were married, divorced right before he turned 4, and we're divorced for 10 years. Tried it a couple of more times, didn't work. But we've been back together now for 8 years, and at no point in time was I ever under any court obligated child support or anything like that. If she had him before he went to school. I had him 7 days. She had him 7 days. When he went to school, I did not want him going to the school system that he would have been if he'd have been living with me at the time. So I let him live with his mother during the week, and then I had him every weekend. And if he needed something, she would call, and I would just give her the money. I'd give her half of it, whatever the bill was, no questions asked. Doing my part to support him, and then having him every weekend. It was just great. There was never any animosity. There was never anything like that. We got along. We co-parented, and it was vice versa. If I had him, and he's got to have this. We had an emergency. This, that. She's sending me the money. It's just not a big deal. It was about him, not what went on between us.
Well, I tell you, I think there's a lot of people that could really, really take that as far as advice and everything because, I tell people all the time, I come from a broken home. And, my mom and dad divorced when I was 4. They were married twice. And I know when I was 20, my dad started talking about, oh, your mom and I, we might get back together. And I shut that down so quick. I was like, you guys mix about as well as oil and water. And I think I hurt his feelings on that, but it was like I was at that point in my life where it's like I'm considered an adult, and I'm telling you, man to man, it ain't going to work. And then I think I was right because then he ended up meeting Kim, and I really think that Kim was the first person he really, really fell in love with, and they were so much alike it wasn't even funny. So it's just, again, you don't know everybody's circumstance, you don't know everybody's situation, and I mean, again, really good stuff there, Mark. I mean, I know from the first time you came into one of my lives and, we got to know each other on a personal level, I sensed nothing but wonderful things and really, really good intentions on your end. And I like to feel like I got a good intuitiveness when it comes to reading people now, much more than I did 20 years ago. That's for sure. Yeah. But no, that's good stuff right there, man. So everybody, you could take that one right there with what Mark said to the bank.
And I want to give credit. To that. I know a lot of it is what you see your parents do or in those situations. But my parents got divorced when I was 20. So I was older. But even to this day, 31 years later, if it comes to me and my sister, they still do what needs to be done. They get together. My dad lives here. He's one of the only family members that I got that I really, give any kind of cares about seeing or whatever. My mom lives in Texas with my sister to help her raise the 4 kids. And Christmases, the whole family gets together. My dad goes down, I go down. I mean, we're all together during Christmas. It's just life. When you have kids, life is bigger than yourself. So
absolutely,
they've always gotten along when it comes to the kids, and they do what they have to do. So
good deal, good stuff, Mark. So, your love of bowling, I think it's pretty easy to, when I ask you this question, it's pretty easy answering your part. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
Professional bowler. Hands down.
So what happened in that whole time and era of, what impeded you on that?
A couple of things. First and foremost, I did try it as a guest. The PBA doesn't actually require you to join to bowl in some of their events, especially regionals. You can bowl as a guest until you cash. I think back then it was twice before you had to join. I did that for about 6 months, never cashed, and figured out, you know what? I ain't as good as I thought I was. The other thing is I did have my grandfather at the time, God rest his soul. offered to put me out there full time, no job. All I had to do was bowl, all expenses paid, salary from work paid, all that stuff. And I told him no because he wouldn't let my girlfriend go with me at the time. So I turned it down because of a girl, and that was dumb. But it is what it is. Probably worked out for the best, but yeah, I turned it down because of a girl.
Well, I think that's your age talking right there, Mark. Would you not agree?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So the part here where you said you didn't believe in good grades, where does that play into this whole equation?
Well, I always said I'm gonna be a bowler. You don't have to be smart to be a bowler. You don't need good grades. You don't need a college degree. And school just wasn't for me. And I did not through high school. I did not apply myself at all. And I'm not afraid at this point in time to admit it. When I graduated high school, we had 375 people in our class. I graduated 371st.
Oh,
yeah. And it wasn't. It's not that I'm as dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not a dumb person. I didn't apply myself. I didn't want to do homework. I wanted to come home from school and go out and have fun with my friends and do that kind of thing. But we would go through school and I would pass the tests. I'd get decent grades on tests, but I wouldn't turn into homework. And you know how they count homework in school, especially in the high school. So it wasn't that I didn't know the stuff or couldn't have known it better. I was just lazy. I'll be honest, flat lazy in high school.
Well, let's get into that a little bit here because I'll give you an example. I took a college course, and again, one of my favorite professors, I'll never forget him. His name was Dr. Ford. Old man, great sense of humor. You knew he'd lived life, and everything that he said, it carried some weight to it. And I'll never forget, like when I took his class it was one class, I think it was like a political science class or it was current events or whatever. And he goes, one thing about me is you guys will never go home with homework. And one of the ladies in the class was like, well, Dr. Ford, well, why do you do that? And he goes, y'all got enough going on as it is. If you can't learn in the hour and a half that we're in here, I don't know what to tell you. And I never forgot that. So, but it sounds to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, it sounds to me like had you done the homework and everything, that you would have been valedictorian with everything that you just said.
Well, I don't know about valedictorian, but I wouldn't have put my parents through stress that I wasn't going to graduate high school. We'll say that. So
there was a time that you were on the fence about whether you were going to walk
there was coming in. I can remember this to this day. I'll never forget it because my mother absolutely had a fit. Scared to death, crying, whatever. If I didn't make an 88 on my final exam in English, I wasn't walking. So luckily for me, and I guess everybody else that was in those classes, every other question was, what's your address? What school do you go to? What year are you graduating? So they made it pretty easy to pass it. So I did get through it.
Did you tell me you got 100 on that one, didn't you?
It was in the 90s. I don't think they did ask some real questions, and I missed a few of those. But I think I was in the mid 90s on that exam.
Okay, all right, you get a pass with that then. All right, so tell us about a little bit about your growing up. One of the things I read here I want you to go into. You said the family business. You said that was one of your regrets.
Yep.
You said your father and your grandfather were highly respected individuals in the field. So tell us what they did and what kind of family business was it?
My grandfather started it, and my father, took it over. I mean, my father was fired 4 times by his father during the course of all this. It's actually kind of a humorous story. But they were certified prosthetists and orthotists. No, I did not say prostitutes. Prosthetists and orthotists. They made artificial arms, legs, braces, shoes. They did all of that. So they traveled all over the world teaching classes. They were on covers of magazines in the industry. They were just really, really good at what they did and highly respected in that field.
Do you still have any of those magazines?
No, I sure don't. Now, he might have them in his house.
Right.
Especially knowing the pack rat that he is. I could go find some old VHS tapes of me bowling when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. if we still had a VHS player to watch them. But yeah, he's still got all those tapes that we used to record all my bowling back then. So
You can get those digitized. There's a way. I know there is. With the technology in the world today, that's one thing about it. You could turn that into something.
I tried to find the picture and send it to you. Well, you wouldn't have got to be able to show it from what you said, but there's a picture that they took that somewhere, my mother still has it. It's framed. It's of me bowling there, standing out, halfway down the lane, taking a picture. And it's me with my Sun In, if anybody's old enough to remember Sun In hairspray, where it turns your hair blonde. Mine was orange. Spiked up with a mullet and a pink Panama Jack t-shirt and stonewashed blue jeans.
Panama Jack. Wow. I ain't seen one of those in forever, but I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Oh, my God. Okay. All right. So what do you currently do for work?
I am an installation specialist and tech support for interior window treatments. Let's see if I can turn my camera. If you see that window, well, that's an interior shutter. I put those up. That's what I do for a living. I install and do tech support for blinds, shades, shutters, pergolas, outdoor motorized screens, that kind of thing. So
tech support. So are you the good tech support or the one that constantly calls and, says, hey, do you need some new window shutters?
No, I'm not that kind. I'm the tech support where my motorized shade remote's not working. What do I need to do? So that's my tech support. I actually do the technical side of things. So
they're coming to you for help.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's really good. I like that. Well, Gio, appreciate you coming on here. I'm glad you're on here watching. It is episode 22 of Calling All Bowlers. We're in here with our good friend Mark Dillard. You are at the right part of fixing to get into the bowling related stuff here. But before that, this is what we were talking about earlier, Mark. So what is something that most people do not know about you?
Oh, goodness. Mark shouldn't be here. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah. I was in a car wreck in 2016. I really wish I had the picture to show you the car. I was stopped on the interstate in traffic because of a brush fire that was being fought up a couple of miles up ahead of us. And a semi rear-ended me while I was sitting still at 70 miles an hour, and he never hit his brakes.
Yeah.
Luckily, at the last minute, he swerved to the left and caught me off center, and instead of crushing me into the car in front of me, spun me around. I hit the shoulder of the road. Yep. The tires caught the gravel. In the air I went. Flipped twice in the air. Luckily landed on all fours. And stayed conscious through the whole thing. Never got knocked out. I remember telling the police, I counted how many times I flipped in the air.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I tried to get myself out of the car. When the paramedics and the police showed up, I tried to let them help me get out of the car. They wouldn't. So I was told later that the reason I didn't get injured any worse than I did was because I had the drunk driver effect. Yeah. I didn't see it coming. Yeah. So I'm just sitting there minding my own business, flopping radio channels on the stereo, and the next thing I know, I'm in midair.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe, and this is a story I'll tell, and I know we don't talk about certain things on here, but if you don't believe, within 15 seconds of me getting stopped after the wreck, I had state troopers on me, and right across on the other side of the interstate going towards Nashville, I was going away from Nashville, this was going towards Nashville, was an off-duty who had just got off duty, Vanderbilt Hospital Life Flight crew.
Wow. And
they were on me that fast. So
they were on you like a fat kid on a cupcake.
Absolutely. So the police officer came over. I did look stunned, he said, but he asked me my name. He asked me what year it was, if I knew where I was. And then when I answered those questions, he went down to one knee. He said he couldn't believe anybody was alive, much less coherent in this vehicle. So a malfunction in the car, maybe too many details here, but malfunction in the car actually saved my life. So every airbag in the car, except for the driver's side curtain airbag, went off. Well, if you got to see close up of the car, the roof of the car, right over the center console, right next to me, had come down in a V and was probably at this level. My neck if that curtain airbag had gone off, it had shoved my head under there.
Yeah.
Car would have came down right
Yep.
on top of my head. I probably would have died instantly. So yeah, it's just everything going on with everybody, being 15 seconds and the life flight crew is there and the police and everything else. Somebody was watching over me that day and said, you got stuff left to do.
I had shown Lawyer, and our good buddy Lawyer, I'd actually shown him those photos. And the first thing he said, because he drives 18-wheelers, he drives big rigs, and he goes, he got hit by a semi. And I was like, yeah, that's what it looks like. So you have that happen in 2016. And so take us through that process. So are you in shock? You don't really know what to think. You said you were coherent, you were answering questions, and you were conscious the whole time, which I can't fathom, what's going through your head at that point. But when everything stopped, if you will, what's the thought process? What's the play there?
Well, the thought process was, what in the hell just happened?
Okay.
What happened? How do I get out of this thing?
Yeah.
That type of thing. They did end up having to cut me out of the car with the jaws of life. So they had to cover a sheet and make sure the glass didn't get all over me and that kind of thing. There was some humor to it right after it happened, I guess. They got me out of the vehicle, got me onto a stretcher, and then laid me down in 3 feet tall grass. I got grass everywhere. Yeah. I mean, it was nuts. And then, one of the police officers came over and says, do you happen to ice skate? And I just looked up at him. What? He goes, yeah, do you ice skate? I said, yeah, a little bit. Why? He goes, well, about 80 yards over here, we found your ice skates from the back of your vehicle. Do you want them back?
Gosh.
So they got me loaded into the ambulance. We're driving I'm probably 25 miles from Vanderbilt Hospital at the time. And anybody that knows anything about Vanderbilt Hospital, they're a really good hospital. I mean, they're, well known across the world. But I'll tell you, after experiencing that being in the hospital, if you don't have something they can study, they don't give a rat's what. They did all the trauma stuff, took me the x-rays, MRIs, did all that to make sure nothing was, to see what was going on or make sure nothing really bad was happening, internal bleeding or anything. Then they stuck me in a hallway on a gurney for 4 hours. They didn't take my clothes off of me. They didn't get the glass off of me. I had to have my dad help me get out so I could go to the bathroom. And then when I came back, they still didn't change the sheets. Amber is there. She's picking glass out of my hair. They just didn't pay any attention to me at all.
Yeah.
And the injuries that I did have, I had a cracked L4 vertebrae. I had a broken rib. I had some micro tears in my Achilles tendon in my ankle, and some really bad, seatbelt bruises and that type thing. But yeah, they didn't do nothing. There was nothing. They said there's nothing you do for the injuries other than rest, let them heal and don't move. And believe it or not, I went back to work light duty. I was doing what I do now with the blinds and the shades, but light duty work in 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
So.
All right. So when you were when you figured out just what the hell happened, did you think you were if I can ask that, did you think you were done for?
No, because I'd really at that point in time I didn't think I was even hurt.
Yeah.
You always hear the stories about adrenaline and this, that, and the other, and you really don't realize you're injured until that adrenaline calms down. That's when the pain kicks in, and there's more to that story in the next thing that we discuss about that. But we were riding back to Vanderbilt. Go back to that part. I was riding back in the ambulance to Vanderbilt, and I had the nurses and paramedics absolutely hysterically rolling on the floor, laughing. They were just making jokes. They were like, "How in the world can you be in that kind of mood after what just happened?" I said, "Because I'm alive, guys. I'm alive.
Yeah.
What else?" And then on the way, the ambulance almost got rear-ended.
Jeez.
The guy behind us had to lock. Luckily, it wasn't a semi; it's just a car. But he had to lock them up to keep from hitting us in the back end in the ambulance.
Dadgum, man. No, we're not into that one yet, DJ. But okay, so that was 2016. I saw the boat one you sent me, and me not being obviously not being an expert in boats and stuff, but uh, so how long later with the boat was this, and then take us through like that experience.
So the car accident happened in October of 2016. The boat accident was its 4-year anniversary or 5-year anniversary was yesterday. It was July 4th of 2020 when I had the boat wreck. So
2021,
2020.
2020. Okay, 2020.
2020. So it was 3 months after the really bad COVID stuff started.
Okay.
So fishing was one of those activities that you could still do. You could be outside and that kind of thing. So I was actually fishing a tournament that morning, or attempting to fish a tournament that morning. I didn't get to fish, obviously, but yeah, we had taken off. They draw boat numbers, so you go out single file. It's not like they just told everybody to go. So you were going out single file. I took off upriver. It's a run. It's in a place that I've driven that drive in a boat 1,000 times. It's my home lake. I got about a half a mile from the boat ramp. I'm running 65 miles an hour. I'm not at top speed yet. I still got 7 more miles an hour to go. And I hit something in the river channel that couldn't be seen. I don't know if it was a log submerged or what, but it hit that motor. You heard it clunk. And the next thing I know, at 65, the boat's going, it does a 180-degree slide to the left on a dime. It throws me out of the boat 100 yards in the air. It threw my friend of mine who was fishing a tournament with me. It threw him out of the passenger seat. He hit the deck chair in the back for the pole that holds the seat for fishing back there. Hit his knee, and it slung him around, and he went head and shoulder first into the front of the motor. He ended up breaking his collarbone. He didn't know it for 3 days, but he ended up breaking his collarbone. I went into the water. This is where the injuries happened. Did I send you a picture of the life jacket?
No.
I don't think I did. But anyways, it's an inflatable life jacket. So it's really flat, just attaches to you, goes over your shoulders. But when it gets wet and you hit water, it automatically goes, poof, it just inflates.
Yeah.
So if you can picture an Olympic swimming event when they start off the platform, they have that really shallow dive, right? That's how I went into the water. Well, when I went into the water head first in that shallow dive position, that life jacket blew up. So it wanted to stop me almost immediately. Mm-hmm. But when it did that, because it inflated, it would not let me flip and roll. The bottoms of my feet touched the back of my head. So I did that scorpion move that they always talk about. And I stress fractured 3 places in my pelvis, broke that same vertebrae in my back, broke 2 ribs. I had a puncture wound in my index finger on my left hand. It was the injuries for that, even though I broke my back in the car wreck, the injuries from this were worse than the car wreck. So, and the other thing about that was I went to a different hospital. I was in Gallatin at the time, and I went to the local hospital in Gallatin. It was the closest place. I didn't know I was injured in this either. I swam all the way back to the boat, made sure my buddy was okay. But when I tried to grab the side of the boat and push up, that's when the pain hit, and I couldn't get in the boat. My friend had to pull me up in the boat. In the time that I was in the water, to the time I got back to the boat, I think 12 boats from that tournament passed me and wouldn't stop to help. They just kept right on going.
Of course.
Finally, I waved down a boat. They went by. I waved down. They turned around and come back. And believe it or not, it was the 2 high school kids that I captained for in high school fishing. They were my kids.
Yeah.
They were the ones they helped get me back in the boat. The trolling motor still works. So we trolled back to the boat ramp. They stayed with me the whole time while paramedics showed up. They got me off the boat, got me going. Then they went back out to fish. They've lost 2.5 hours at this point in a 6-hour fishing tournament. They won the tournament, and I told them it was a karma win.
Yeah.
And both of those kids were 16 years old. They got all kinds of awards from TWRA and the high school bass organizations for doing what they did. And to this day, I still am so grateful to those kids. One of them is now fishing in college on college scholarships and fishing professional fishing tournaments. But yeah, it took 2 high school kids to stop. The adults and the other ones, I guess they were too worried about the $500 they were trying to win. than helping somebody that had a boat wreck. So
So what you're saying is like when that happened, it's like nobody saw you go 100. Like what'd you say, 100 yards?
I was about 100 yards from the boat when it all stopped.
Nobody saw that.
Nope. Everybody, the direction that I was going, so you come out of the boat ramp and you either go left or right. Left goes back down towards the big water. Right
Yeah.
goes up or left goes up in the river. Right goes back to the big water. Most people were going to the big water. It's July. They're trying to fish offshore and fish deep, so they don't go that way. But there was nobody, thank goodness, immediately behind me at the time, or I might have got run over by another boat. So,
Oh, okay.
so I'm kind of glad there wasn't anybody directly behind me. But to see me floating in the river with my boat sitting over closer to the bank with this big green inflated life jacket on, bobbing up and down in the water, and for them just to drive past me, it just, I don't know, it kind of really ticked me off at the time. So
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, Mark. You know, but it's like you said, you got the right. Put it to you like this: the right people came when they were supposed to,
yep.
and I think that is a really big learning curve. There you go, Pickles. A learning lesson, if you will. And I think we'll get more into this as we talk more, as we go into, because we're actually getting ready to go into the bowling part. But Mark, that's just that's intense stuff, my man. I'm glad you're here. I'm pretty sure that, like I said, I think another thing that probably helped you more so than anything was when you talked about the car wreck, your power of positivity, man. Because there's a lot of people, that would happen to, and they would probably get down on themselves. So, I mean, just, dude, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're not, like I said, you're obviously bowling. You're obviously doing the things you love to do. So, I mean, you might have been temporarily messed up, but you healed and you're doing what you're doing. But tell me this, like, you don't have any long-term effects from either one of those events, do you?
Well, I mean, part of my old age, physically still, and unfortunately, they won't pay you for that kind of stuff that you're going to go through for the rest of your life. It's kind of immediately done. It took 4.5 years to settle that case after it happened.
The boat or the car crash?
The car wreck.
4 years? Wow.
4.5 years. And after all the fighting and everything we went through, I got $100,000 out of it. And that's before lawyer fees, before bills, before hospital expenses. I walked out enough to buy a new truck and have a couple dollars left to put in the bank.
Wow.
So,
well, again, at the end of the day, the most important thing is, like you told them nurses, you're here, you're alive, and you're breathing, and that's all that matters to us, man. Like I said, we're going to get towards the end of and everything, and like I said, we're going to get through to the bowling stuff because there's a lot of stuff we've got to talk about bowling wise. So we're going to hit the ground running, if you will. Mark, tell us this 3-part question: how long have you been bowling? How many leagues did you bowl this past fall, winter? And what are you doing in the summertime?
Well, I started bowling when I was 5 years old. My parents always bowled in the Friday night church league at the local bowling center, and I got my $1.50 in allowance, just play video games with while they were bowling. And I basically grew up in a bowling center. So I started bowling when I was 5. So that's 46 years. I'm 51 now. So I've been bowling for 46 years. This past winter season, I bowled in 2 leagues. Well, I bowled in 1 league the full year committed, which was our big money league on Monday nights. Mm-hmm. I started off as a sub on Thursdays in the big mixed league that we have. But one guy dropped out. I ended up taking his spot, and then I subbed on 2 other nights. So basically, if you include tournaments, I was bowling 2 to 5 times a week this past winter season.
And from my understanding on that Monday night league, you've talked about frequently, a 230 average got you in the top 20, right? In average, right?
Yep. Top 20 in averages. You had to be in the 230s. So
hey, listen, You know, I barely snuck into all city team with my 229 this past fall. I was literally the last on the list, so I wouldn't have had a prayer up there in Nashville. I
Well, yeah, but if
might
you
have been
bowled
the
here, you'd have
50th or
averaged
100th
239.
best bowler.
Now, if you bowled at Hermitage, you'd average 239.
Mm.
So,
Well, I tell you what, where I take a big compliment from my average here at the Palace, because every time Richie has come down to bowling here, he's like, dude, this is the hardest house to carry in. I'm like, oh, well, gee, thanks.
I didn't think it was hard to carry in.
Well, we're going to get into that. Hard to get, no, not for you, but you sure got a way of knowing how not to finish, but we're going to get into that here.
You're right about that.
All right, then. So, well, what are you bowling now? You what have you been doing for the summer months?
I usually don't commit to any summer leagues whatsoever because the summertime is so busy. Our work runs later. It's hard, sometimes it's hard for me to get to the bowling center on time, especially for those 6 and 6:30 leagues. I did bowl the last 2 summers because my son was bowling. We bowled in a little mixed league on Tuesday nights at Hendersonville when he was here. But he's in Maine, like I said, he's in Maine this summer, so we took the summer off as far as committing. But I am bowling two nights a week, 3 if I have to sub. But here we have Hermitage runs a 4-game sport shot sweeper on Monday nights. Tuesday night, Smyrna runs a 5-game one. And then on Thursdays, Tusculum runs a 4-game one also. And I haven't been to Tusculum yet, but they just started it a couple of weeks ago. So I'm bowling in those sport shot sweepers every week.
Well, there's a reason, there's a method to that madness, and we're going to get into that. But first and foremost, let me ask you this. State of bowling currently, league, tournament, overall wise, what is the opinion of Mark Dillard on that?
Mark thinks it's spinning its wheels and stuck in the mud. I don't really think it's going backwards as fast as it was at one point in time, but it's also not going forward. It's not going forward as fast as we need it to. I do see some improvements in the game. I think, and if Steve was here, he'd love me for saying this. I do think two-handed bowling has contributed to kind of slowing down the decline and starting to inch it back up, especially in the youth category, which is the future of our sport. They need to be supported however they do it, because if they go away, we're not going to have bowling anymore. It's always about the kids. Yeah, I think it's kind of the sport itself is kind of stuck in the mud and spinning its wheels at this point in time. So,
do you think that is attributed to, let's just put it out there, the traditionalist mindset, not accepting the way the game has evolved? Do you think that contributes to it?
No, I don't think it's an evolution of the game, because I don't think it matters what area we end up being in or what we were in before or anything like that. There are always going to be people that have something to complain about. That's going to go on. When two-handed is the norm and something else comes along, the two-handers are going to be mad about that. That's just the evolution of things. I think it has to do more with bowling center owners than anything.
Okay, and we're gonna get into that. That's going to be a really, really good discussion. But first, let's get with you here. Let's get all this right here, because it's the most important thing here, in my opinion. Short and long-term goals. Like I said, you've successful husband, successful father, successful bowler. You've felt like you've done it all, but what do you want to do? What do you have left to accomplish, Mark?
Well, on the short term, just like I told you in my answers, now that I'm bowling the PBA or become a member in bowling PBA 50 events, I'd like to win a tour title. Even though it's an old guy tour title, I'd still like to have one.
I want to stop you real quick. Let me tell you something. A win with the PBA in front of it, I don't care if it's regular, the national tour, or regional, PBA 50, it's still a national. That's how I choose to recognize it. And I'm telling you, you got all the capability in the world, my friend. And again, I believe it. I am manifesting this right now as your boy DGAB. You're going to do this stuff, Mark, and I believe in you.
Well, I do appreciate that. I've had some talk with some friends who are like, "Oh, you've got all the talent in the world. You'll get there. You'll be able to do really good." And I said, "Guys, it's going to be a learning process." And I compare it to one of your favorite things, college football.
Mm-hmm.
What do they say when college football players go to the NFL? They have to learn to play football again because it's a different ball game. Well, I can be a successful local bowler and tournament bowler and do all this, but when you go up against the best in the world in the PBA, you have to learn how to bowl again. It's a different ball game out there. So there's going to be a learning curve to it for a while. So,
what was that tournament you did up in? I think it was the Knoxville area. What were they bowling on?
The one I just came back from Kingsport.
Yes.
It's what they consider. That's what they call a sport pattern. But he kind of designs a lot of his own. Sometimes he uses regular ones. The one that we bowled on this past week was a 5-to-1, 45-foot, 25 mil pattern. And if you tell anybody that, a bowler that, when they walk in the building, where are you going to be playing? Oh, we're going to be playing deep. We're going to be playing deep. It's not going to hook much. You're going to be deep. Well, it didn't hook much, but you couldn't play deep because it wouldn't hook at all. The only friction on that pattern was between the 2 and 5 board, the first 25 feet of the lane. That was it. So you were basically trying to get a hook stop reaction and knock down the pins. Get it to go through the pins right. And I was throwing a 2000 grit sanded hammerhead and 2000 grit sanded hypnotize all day. So it was strong stuff that I was throwing because you really wanted it to read that pattern but not react much after it.
Do you believe in when people say that it starts out as a sport pattern, but it could, depending on how they're broke down, it could be a house pattern essentially after the breakdown?
I do believe in that. It is the guys on. If you're a bowler and you pay enough attention to the tour and you watch, you see those guys. Scoring outrageous scores like we shoot in league. Well, it's because they broke them down. I mean, you go out on you put that on fresh, and the scores they usually don't shoot this real big scores until games 2, 3, 4 when they really start getting them where they want them. They burn them up in the right spot. They'll carry them. They get the oil carried down in the right spots to give them miss room in, miss room out. I tell a lot of people that watch the tour, what you're not seeing on tour with those high scores is the hour and a half that these guys were either throwing urethane or chalk sanded aggressive equipment to either burn up miss room right or create hold left. And they had an hour and a half to do it. It wasn't, they get 2 balls in each lane and let's go. But they get a chance to break down the lanes the way they want them. So.
And it also helps when you have your tour reps there teaching and telling you and giving you tidbits and everything.
Yes.
That's always a good thing to have. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take a quick chat question here, and Mark, I'm going to let you give us your thoughts on this. Harris ETP asks, which type of ball is suitable for heavy long oil, asymmetrical or symmetrical? I'm going to let you answer that, Mark, since you are our guest of honor, my friend.
That's kind of a I don't want to call it a loaded question, but it really depends on the surface at the bowling center that you're bowling on. The lane surface itself. Are you bowling on a really slick surface like Pro Anvilane or Anvilane, or are you bowling on high friction, which is HPL, or something in between? Is it an older wooden house? Yes. I mean, that's going to change a lot about the ball reaction and the way it plays. You could go. We'll just use your city for example, Huntsville. You can go to Penn Palace, put down a shot, go over to Bowl Madison and put down the same shot, and they'll play nothing alike because the surface of the lanes is different.
Absolutely.
So it really, an asymmetrical versus symmetrical is a lot about confidence. If I had to answer that, I would go asymmetrical is probably better for most bowlers. For me, I'm not a big ASIM guy. I like stable. I like predictable. Symmetrical is what I grew up with. Is what I'm comfortable with. So I will throw asymmetrical, but most of my stuff is symmetrical, and I would throw that.
To
me, it's more about surface on the bowling ball.
Don't let Mark fool you. He's all about plastic. He doesn't need a core.
Only on house shots. Only on house shots.
All right. So a lot of people, again, if you all know, recently back in May, we had the first annual Derrick Tate Memorial Tournament. And it's something I didn't put in the questionnaire here because I kind of feel like this is going to be more organic than anything as far as the show goes. A lot of these, like I said, getting to know Mark, again, like I said, we got a guy here that basically says he's cheated death twice or felt like he has, and he's glad to be here, and we're glad to have him here. So you know that the whole DGAB gang here, we put a really a really fair amount of promotion into this. We put a lot of energy into it. I know I did. I really exhausted. I went all out. I 1,000% exhausted myself with it. But you're coming down here to bowl this tournament because I mean, like it wasn't. I think it was like right after I announced it. I put the announcement out. I think you were like one of the first, probably 10, 15 names that you were like, well, I'm there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to make it work because you were like, well, Tomlinson's got this going, but I'm going to make sure I'm there for that because I'll have enough or whatever the case may be. But what were your thoughts coming down here to bowl in this first-time tournament?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't come down to that tournament. I don't want to say as a tournament bowler because when I go to a tournament, I always try to win. That's an actual, that kind of goes without saying. But I came down to support you, and I came down to support your cause. I came down to support your friend's family. Losing a loved one, especially a younger loved one, I couldn't imagine what it's like to be a parent, lose your child. You're not supposed to outlive your children. I came down to support you. That's why I came down. If I won, yay, great. But I was going to have a good time either way, and I really, really wanted to support you. You and I have come kind of close over the last few months since we've met. I think you're a wonderful dude. Love you to death. I'm always keeping tabs on you. Mm-hmm. I did. I came down to support you in that cause.
Well, I can tell you it was definitely. I'm really glad that we had what we had. 53 bowlers for a first-time tournament is absolutely incredible. I know I was on cloud nine with it. I know Barbara, Rebecca, Betty. I know they were stoked and everything. Oakland being there. I know you. I think you got to meet the family too because again, like I said, you won. Really good. Very long format. The format I got was, hey, this is really out there and really long. And I did that. I did that by design, at least for the first year, and I'll tell you why. Because Derrick bowled a lot. Derrick would literally put his name in as DT, 6 on this side, 6 on this side, and he would not leave until he had bowled every single frame. And he did that a lot. He did that. When I say the man bowled 8 days a week, I meant that. So when we were putting that together, I was like, I want to make this one long because, again, it's just kind of that little tribute to my friend. But definitely when you made the cut, you came in as the 3 seed. When everybody and their brother thought you were just running away with the 1 seed because you go 822 for the first 3. And somebody came to me. I was sitting there trying to get scores. I was trying to play catch up and everything. And I think somebody came up and they said, that damn Dillard went 300 again. And I was like, geez, okay. And honestly, what I got to thinking about is I think you threw the first one in the 4th game. And immediately when you did that, it's 2. Okay, well, I saw the first one because I was going everywhere, right? So I saw 1. And I got to thinking, I think it was Lawyer. Lawyer said something to me about it. And I said, I am really going to feel bad if he goes another, 11 in a row here because I didn't sanction the tournament. And, me and you and I have had that discussion about, the whole USBC thing, which is here, there, and yonder for this. But then I found out your last game. I got to ask you, dude, just what in the literal hell happened in game 4?
There was some transition that I wasn't expecting. I actually had I forgot his name. What was the kid's name that was with Dustin that interviewed me? He was doing the stuff on YouTube. I can't remember his name now.
You talking about Dustin's son?
Was that Dustin's son?
Yeah, the little guy doing commentary. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
not Richie. Richie would have been too much of a smart aleck for Mark.
No. Richie was the championship game commentator.
Yes, yeah. No, that was Logan.
Got the old stuff started.
That was Logan. That was Dustin's youngest son. Yeah.
He actually asked me about what to expect going into the next game, or could I do it again? And I'm like, well, 36 in a row is a lot. But if the transition stays the same, I'm following the same people. So if the transition stays the same, I should do fairly well. I shouldn't. I'm not really that worried about that last game. That pair must have been different. The transition hit, things started to really change, and I didn't catch up to it.
You should have threw plastic.
Yeah, I probably should have broke that out and saw what happened. But again, I didn't. But the same thing happened to me again this past weekend in Kingsport. I'm plus 48 after 2, and I'm leading the tournament, and then I go 170, 160. The transition, I couldn't figure out the transition. And y'all heard where I was playing before. I'm trying to play up 3. I'm literally left foot on 7, the 7 board. I'm 2 left of the last dot on the approach, or 2 right of the last one on the approach, trying to go up 3. Well, there came to a point to where that friction became too much friction because everybody in the building was playing the same place because it's the only place you get the hook. Yeah. So when you hit that, it actually just jerked too hard. We were going through the nose in Brooklyn or whatever. So, you make the natural progression is to start, chasing it left. Well, when you chased it left, then you hit the 3-6 in the face because there was no friction anywhere else. Yep. And what the move ended up being, it took me 20 frames to figure it out, was to move right 2 with my feet, go further right, but move my eyes left 2. So create that going at them type thing. And once I figured that out, the last game in qualifying, I go back to 237, jump back in the cut, and then end up being third and got beat by the champion. But it just, sometimes the transition takes me a while to figure out. That's one of the things that I try to work on in these all these sport things that I bowl, is figuring out the transition faster.
Yeah.
So, because a couple of bad games, when I'm bowling out here on this PBA 50 thing, if I have a couple of bad games, that'd be the difference in me cashing not or making match play not. So,
DJ wanted
to transition faster.
DJ wanted me to ask you. I already know what the last game was during that 4 game of qualifying during Derrick's tournament. Why don't you tell DJ what that was?
169.
Look at that perfect timing. You said 169, and Brian helped me hit the goal. That was perfect timing there.
Absolutely. I did have, and I know I told you this, but I'll tell everybody else. I've only had back-to-back 300s one other time in my life. It was in League at Hermitage. I had the front 26. Didn't shoot 800. Transition hit, and I shot 170 the last game. So,
hey, listen, that's like Wes, the old GM here. It was a long time ago at Monarch, bowling Friday Night League. He goes 300, 299, and then he follows it up with a $180. It's like, yep,
happens to the best of us.
Of course. Well, for everybody just now tuning in, welcome to Calling All Bowlers. It is episode 22. We are talking to our good buddy Mark Dillard from the great state of Tennessee and the good old suburb of Nashville. I would call it that. Would you not? Mount Juliet? Is that what you said?
It's definitely a suburb of Nashville.
There's a lot of
if you ever ask anybody where they're from and they say Nashville to you, doesn't mean that they're from Nashville. It means they're within a 50-mile circle of Nashville. Everything in there is just considered Nashville.
They're not from the center.
Yep. Because anything 50 miles and out that's Nashville. That's just what we say.
I can tell you, traveling up there to get to Kentucky, oh my goodness gracious, let me tell you, that is 4 different lanes, take you to 4 different places. I'm like, yep, I know we're in the heart of Nashville right here, because when you're sitting here doing this, and this, oh gosh, careful.
That Nashville traffic is awful. They don't have the room to expand the infrastructure for the population growth that we've had. So,
how do you feel though about how do you feel about the new Titan Stadium though? Oh, I forgot. You're the hockey guy. If it was a Nashville Predators thing, you'd be all stoked about it, right?
Well, I'm actually, the Predators are putting $850 million into upgrading their arena now, but I have no idea what that's going to include, so I haven't seen it. And I'll be honest with you, as big a hockey fan as I am, I've been to 1 game in the past 4 years, and it's right down the street from you.
What?
Why? It's become a social event. They've raised the prices where the true fans or people like me can't really afford to go. And I hate downtown. I avoid downtown like the plague.
Yes.
we have a saying, you go downtown, I can tell you, if you ever go in downtown Nashville and you're ever walking around Broadway or the area with all the honky tonks and all that, if you see cowboy boots and hats, those are the tourists. We do not dress like that. No. We do not dress like that. And the other bad thing about Nashville now, it's been this way for 5 or 6, 7 years now. We are the bachelorette party capital of the country. I do not know why, but it's crazy.
Isn't that because y'all have some form of cowboy ugly or ugly, whatever that bar is where all the female.
Oh, we have a coyote ugly.
I said cowboy ugly. Ooh, that tells you how long it's been since I've been to Nashville. All right. Well, let's get back on track here, Mark. You had made the comment earlier about the state of bowling. You said, although signs of improvement, I still think it is stuck in the mud, spinning its tires. I want to go into that a little bit, and I guess I really want to kind of put a bow and ribbon on the Derrick Tate Memorial. So you end up obviously you're the champion. You're the first annual Derrick Tate Memorial Tournament champion. Anything about that day that just stands out to you?
Other than the people that I met and the friends that I actually made, Pickles was there. Rubelin came up. Your local guys. I made some friends and got to meet some people, and I just actually had a ball that entire day. I could have bowled 160 every game, and I'd have walked out of there in a good mood just because of how successful it was for you and then the people that I got to meet. So that day will always stand out for that reason. So you win it, and of course, Dustin's son Logan interviews you, and of course, Derrick's daughter gives you the trophy, gives you the plaque. Take us through that feeling. Take us through that emotion. Oh, I was extremely honored and proud that I won the inaugural Derrick Tate Memorial Tournament. When I was going, when she was presenting me with that trophy, and Mama was standing there, and they were talking to me, they were talking about how they were rooting for me. My thoughts were on their family. It wasn't. I mean, obviously I was glad I won and that kind of thing, but I was more thinking about what they were going through. To be there all day, to go through that where it's dedicated to your father, your son, that kind of thing, had to be, even though it was probably a good thing and a good day for them, still had to be extremely hard and extremely emotional. Oh yeah. So I was just thinking about them and supporting them, and everything that the bowlers did to raise money for Oakland's college fund and that kind of thing just melted my heart. It was just, and watching her throw the first ball, rolling it down the ramp, just it was touching. I really enjoyed that. I'm hoping Mama got a copy of the picture that I had us take. I felt that would be a good memento for her, being the inaugural thing. I hope she did get a copy of that picture. But I was focused on supporting your event, and I was focusing on supporting that family. Bowling was a subtitle compared to why we were there. So, well, it's again, it's going to be an annual thing. It's going to be under the DGAB umbrella, and again, like you said, what we're doing for her for at least the next 14 years, if you will, and I'm sure we'll continue doing it even after the fact. I knew it meant a lot to Barbara. I knew it meant a lot to Rebecca. I knew it meant a lot to Beth. It meant everything to everyone. A lot of good things came up through that, and I'll put it to you like this, Mark. I wish we had more. I don't know if fellowship's the word, but it's like you said. You said you could have bowled 4 169s and you'd have still been stoked, and you winning it was the icing on the cake. But it's those come-togethers, if you will. That's the best word I could come up with, on the spot. But dude, for you to just come in and doing everything that y'all did, you and Richie, you guys gave me some money to donate to
getting a gift certificate through the shop, and very last minute, very unexpected, and it's just one of those things where the goal behind it was, honor the guy that meant the world to me and meant the world to his family. And it's like you said, it's not. And it's funny with me. I'm kind of going outside my host thing here because this is, how personal it is with me. But I've told everybody, I was like, I am never going to be 100% okay because he was way too young. And I will take that. I'll take that to the end of my life. But I'm really glad that we got to do something really special. And I mean, like I said, you and Freilich making the finals and what Josh did, his gesture to Derrick's family too, just straight up, his runner-up money, and he just said, give it to him. And that's what we did. And, it's just a lot of good stuff about it. And I personally cannot say, thank you to you, Mark, and to everybody else out there. Like I said, Pickles in the live. I mean, Barbara didn't know, but the second day when I was doing the sweepers, she came up there and I said, hey, I want to introduce you to some people. And I introduced her to Pickles first. And I said, hey, just so I did Pickles and then I did Steve actually. And I said, this is Brian. I said, he goes by Pickles. I said, this is Steve. And I said, just so you know, I said, Brian here came all the way from Fort Lauderdale and Steve came all the way down from Missouri to Bolognese. And dude, she lit up like the 4th of July lit up last night. And she was in awe about just like how many people were there. And it's just a really, really incredible thing. And I just hope that that's something that we can do continuously from year to year. And, let them know that his memory will never leave as far as the bowling community goes here in Huntsville. So definitely a feel-good moment. Again, Josh could have won it too, and it would have been the same thing. But you winning it, I think what you had motivated is you only wanted to bowl one game, and I think you were getting tired of Richie saying the smart aleck comments in the live that he was making. I think that's what that really was, if we really want to talk about it.
I try to do that. We're not. These aren't tour titles. These aren't national amateur events. We've bowled all day. We're all tired. We're excited, but we're tired. There's been a lot, go into it other than just the bowling, the door prizes, and helping this and doing that. And at the end of the day, let's just split it and bowl a game for the bragging rights and be done with it. And I'll be honest with you, we do that here in McCorvey's. If we know each other, we're whatever. We get down to the final match. Mm-hmm. We bowled 4 grueling games of qualifying, and then we've got double elimination match play for 4 more matches. By the end of the day, let's just make a $200 difference in the two and bowl one game for the title for the bragging rights, and let's go to the house.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, I just like I told you, I was like, I'm gonna hand y'all whoever wins it first and second, and y'all do. Let's see. Wait, what was Richie saying? We can't remember at our age. Of course,
that's exactly what he was saying. We can't remember at our age.
All right, I can get us back on track here. Okay, so now I can say this because I put a ribbon and a bow and a tie and all that on the Derrick Tate Memorial. Again, awesome, and I'm extremely thankful that you made the trip down and that you, like I said, you came away with a win. So that's freaking awesome, my friend. So earlier we were discussing, how you felt the state of bowling is currently, and again, you said although signs of improvement, I still think it's stuck in the mud, spinning its tires. Will you elaborate more on what you mean by that? Can you kind of maybe go into a little more detail as to your feelings? And I mean, like, don't feel like you got to hold back on this. Like, tell us what you think, because we know that Mark doesn't hold back his feelings.
Not when it comes to this. The biggest problem that I see as far as growing the sport or what's going on with the sport of bowling. Now, when I say that, there's a difference between the business of bowling and the sport of bowling. It's 2 separate entities, and they need to come together. Well, who's in charge? Who's at the top of the list of making sure those things happen that can happen? It's the owners of the bowling centers. Mm-hmm. Okay. And owners of bowling centers now are more often than not bowlers. They just aren't bowlers. They may bowl, but they're not bowlers. And the only thing they're concerned with, it's kind of gotten the way everything else has gotten in the world now. It's about that right there.
Mm-hmm. The almighty dollar.
That's what it's about. I don't want to. I'm not going to use names here, but we have a bowling center in the suburbs of Nashville from a guy who's owned bowling centers since I was a kid here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up bowling in youth with his kids. His kid still bowls in tournaments, nationals. Now he's older. He's an adult now. He's not a kid anymore. He's an adult. So when I say kids, that's just what I'm saying. But could give less than two flying you-know-whats about league bowling. Doesn't care if it comes. Just as soon not have it. Because he doesn't make any money off of it. When I say make any money. So, and I just think that is not going to grow the sport of bowling. It's going to kill the sport. Bowling centers are dying. I mean, there's bowling centers that are closing every day. For every one that opens, there's 3 that have closed. So we're going backwards in that. And again, it's greed. If you go into the bowling business thinking you're going to become some over-the-top 6 or 7 digit millionaire, billionaire off the bowling business, you've lost your mind. It's not going to happen. You've got to go into it with, I'm going to make a good living at this. I'm going to be comfortable. You're not going to be a professional sports star rich by owning a bowling center. It's just not going to happen. Especially if you're a mom and pop guy. Now I know Bolero and Strike and Spare and those big chains, they make their fair share of the money. Don't get me wrong, but I worked for Strike and Spare as a center manager for 2008, probably the better part of a decade. And I've seen the numbers behind it. You're not getting rich quick. I mean, I think we said it, you need to go into, if you want to own a bowling center, you need to go in it with until you get it off the ground, the first couple of years, being very humble and very little salary, because if you don't put back into the bowling center, your bowlers won't come. You got to keep up with it. But I mean, if you can own a bowling center and make a couple $100,000 a year, be a happy person. Why do you need more than that? I mean, I know that you can never have too much money, and everybody would like to have money and all that, but who can't live on $200,000 a year, $250,000 a year, and be comfortable? You're not going to have a 10,000 square foot house and drive $100,000 Corvettes and have Ducati motorcycles and all that stuff, but you're going to be comfortable. But you've got to care about the sport. A bowling center can't survive on leagues alone, nor can they survive on open play alone.
Correct.
You've got to have both, or you're going to shut the doors. Mm-hmm. So, but the bowling centers only see the dollar sign. Like I said, we have a center here in Nashville that charges $8.95 a game for bowling.
Good grief.
Yep.
Now
it's ridiculous.
Now,
and he can, and believe it or not, he's in a part of town where he can get that and fill the house with open play. It's a 24-lane center and fill it up, but the sport's not going to survive that way. We're not going to have a sport to play if that continues. So you have to be able to put the same energy used in your open play, because they're bringing you money, as the people who come spend their money consistently on a weekly basis for 9 months or longer of the year. Those are your diehard customers. You're relying on getting, the average family goes bowling once a year now. How hard is it to get new business? Repeat business is easy. Once you get it, it's easy. It's a whole lot easier and a whole lot cheaper to keep the business you have than it is to go out and find new business. So trying to make a living off complete families who just bowl once a year for the fun of it, your bowling center's not going to survive. But it's the same way league bowlers need to understand, and I've had arguments with them before as a center manager. We have to have the open play, or you're not going to have any place to bowl league. It's got to coexist, or it's not going to make it.
So let's give you a scenario here, Mark. Because like I said, you you were running one of the bowling centers from 2008 for the better part of a decade.
I actually started managing bowling centers in 1996.
Okay. I know about your most recent venture. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So, okay, well then let me ask you this, since you just said that. Uh, so 3 decades running bowling centers. What's the biggest difference you've seen in 3 decades?
Traffic, number one.
When
Number
you say
two,
traffic, you mean
customer traffic.
okay.
Customer traffic through the centers. The lack of upkeep, maintenance, upgrades, whatever you want to call it, put back into the center by the owners. Let's face it, nobody wants to go to a 40-year-old bowling center that hasn't had a lick of upgrade since it opened. It's they're usually dark, dank. Nobody wants to go do that.
They're what?
Dark and dank and
Dank.
dink and
Dank.
dingy and what? Yeah, so
Dank. There's the word of the night, folks, from Mark himself. Dank.
And that's part of what's contributed to the decline in league bowling. Everybody wants to talk about time and money and all that. If you love the game, even if you're not serious at it, if you love the game and you love doing it, you're gonna go bowling. But a lot of people just don't do it anymore. It's gotten to be, I mean, what's a good league cost now? $25 a week. You know, my Monday night league pays $30.
Leagues are 30. Our
Yeah.
Monday night is $30.
$30 a week times 4 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Or
Oh no!
4
Like
weeks a month.
if you
know,
go
you're
spending $30, $30 for 32 weeks is $960.
Spending $1,000 that year. That doesn't count bowling balls, bowling equipment, cokes, snack bar revenue that you're spending to eat, and this, that, you know, there's a whole lot more than $960 being spent in the course of that year. And the bowling centers every year go up on lineage and don't put anything back in the center. The center changes. Where's the money going? I know it costs a little more for your bills, but it costs a little more for our bills too. We get that part, but something's got to be put back to be put into the bowling center. It's got to be. How many bowling centers do anybody in the live who's gone to different bowling centers? How many bowling centers do you go to? The machines don't run right. Pin setters don't work. Scoring system malfunctions. You got everything. You got everything in the world going on.
How many of you are bowling in bowling centers where the air conditioning is working properly? Sorry, I just had to put that out there, Mark.
No, at Hermitage, my home center, 10 minutes from my house, where I started working in 93. I started working there. Loved that place. Grew up in it. Worked there for 25 years. Was a manager or whatnot. The air conditioners never worked right in that building. In the summertime, it can get 77 degrees plus while you're trying to bowl. And just 2 weeks ago, our Monday night scratch sweeper, the humidity inside the building was 70%. Well, guess what that does to shiny synthetic approaches?
Tacky.
I wear a number 2 slide sole and a number 2 slide heel. If I wear anything else, I slide too much. In a normal circumstance, I had to go buy one of the shoe sliders to sit over my thing so I could slide just a little bit.
Zach says, yeah. What about when the YPU scoring system is from the mid-90s? Brother, have you ever heard of Advantage? Because that's what we're using here right now.
You've got early 1980s AMF scoring there. It's time for an upgrade there. But
good luck with
Bolero,
that. Yeah,
I don't think it'll ever happen.
That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I get. There was a comment just a second ago that I saw that said that part right there. You're not putting anything else into the bowling center. How are you justifying raising the cost of lineage? Now, I will defend that in one sense. The cost of living's going up. The cost of labor goes up. They've got to be able to pay the employees more. So there is a small argument to that.
Correct.
But not for what they're raising it. One of the smartest things I learned in the bowling industry, if anybody works in a bowling center, you can take this back to whoever if you don't already do it. our original owners, we were always afraid to do price increases because we were afraid it was going to run bowlers off. Well, when the new owners came in, and this is such a, and I was stuck in it. Why do you want to raise prices? People are not going to want to come bowl. It's getting too expensive. Blah, blah, blah. Argued. But it was the smartest thing I've ever seen. You don't go up 50 cents or $1 on your games or your league lineage. You go up a nickel every 4 to 6 months. Nobody's going to know the difference. They're not going to pay attention to a nickel, especially your open play bowlers that came in last week. It was $2.99. Now it's $3.05. You think they remember that the last time they were there? Nope. Mm-hmm. They might remember their total and they go, oh, well, that's about the same as what it was before. You know, you nickel and dime. And then they don't notice. And people don't usually say anything. The problem is that they don't do that with league lineage. We're paying 14. Well, this year we're going to have to go to 15. Why? Open play didn't go up that much. Why is our stuff going up? We're the ones that are coming every week and supporting you. Why are you trying to jack it all up on us? That's crazy. Bowlers aren't stupid when it comes to that. So,
do you think that there is a gray area when it, like, and what I mean by that is the middle ground when it comes to raising lineage, raising open play prices, and the people like the firstly, the league bowler noticing that increase, and like you said earlier, not noticing it being put into like upgrades or preventative maintenance, if you will. Do you think that there is a total disconnect?
Well, when you say that, explain where. Tell me what you mean by disconnect between.
I think there's a disconnect now in today's proprietors versus.
Vic. Sorry. Hi, Vic. Vic's joined the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's a disconnect in the way proprietors run things now versus how it used to be ran?
I think a lot of proprietors run it more of a corporate style, even if you're not a corporate operation, than they do how it's designed to be ran. This is a personal business, and there needs to be face-to-face interaction with your customers, even as an owner, especially a mom and pop owner. You want to give those people an opportunity to see you. If you're in the building and you just pop in and say hi, whatever, how you doing, whatever, and people know who you are, that mentally goes a long way with the bowlers. Hey, he's actually here. He's actually cares. He's doing something. So there's too much of that owners disconnected from their own customer base. It needs to be on a more personal level.
What ideas or suggestions would you have to improve upon that?
Oh, making an effort. Make the effort. Put some money back into your center. And it's not that a lot of it doesn't have to, a lot of times it's not about upgrades. It's about maintaining the status quo. But when you go back into a bowling center, your bowl season, you go back the next season and it's a little bit worse. You go back the next season, it's a little bit worse. That's what sticks out. You're not even maintaining the status quo. It's going backwards. Right. So they really have to put back into the bowling center, maintain the status quo. They really need to figure out a way, and I know it. Oh my goodness, the cost of running a bowling center is astronomical. So nobody think that it's a cheap thing. Please don't ever think that. It is not. It is astronomical overhead. But you've got to figure out a way to pay people a little bit better. Go into any bowling center in America. 90% of the people that work there are under the age of 18.
Yep.
So you're leaving kids to be in charge of running your business. I mean, they can barely drive a car, and you want them to be in charge of taking care of making you money. And it's hard to attract. I don't want to use, because a lot of those kids are still adults, but adults.
Yeah.
Responsible adults that care, and only pay them $10 an hour. It's not going to work. I feel the same way about mechanics, bowling center mechanics. The whole reason string pins is coming around because I don't need a mechanic anymore. I just need some idiot that can untwist a string so it'll pick it back up and set it back down, and it cuts my overhead out. Well, that's why it's become popular, because and the mechanics are dying off. Nobody wants to pay them. A mechanic should be the second highest paid person in that building next to your general manager, bar none. Because without those machines, your business is dead in the water. And they need to be. I see too many bowling centers. I noticed it this past weekend in East Tennessee. It's a little small mom and pop 16-lane place, but you got to do preventive maintenance. You can't fix them when they break. If you fix them when they break, they're always going to break. Period. They have to be maintained. It's one of the things that I'm proud of about Hermitage down here. So we've always had a mechanic. They work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and they will work the bigger leagues. They'll come in later and stay later. But they're always got a machine. They're always in a machine, greasing, oiling, changing a screw here, replacing the spring there. They're doing this, and the machines always run good. Now, they are machines, and I don't care how much maintenance. Eventually, one of them's just going to break on you out of nowhere, and you got to fix that. But by and large, I mean, when I was working there, our mechanic worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and the staff took care of leagues at night. We would actually leave the front counter, run to the back, fix the machine, and come back. That's how good the machines ran, and we trained our people on how to be pin chasers. And more bowling centers need to do that. But they have to hold their mechanic responsible for not drinking coffee and looking at Facebook on their phone all day in the back because nothing's broken. There's not a time ever that you can't be in there greasing, oiling, fixing, replacing, tightening, loosening, doing whatever to keep those machines at tip-top shape.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I could have said that any better, Mark. Well, we're getting into the what I like to call the winching hour here. We're coming up on just a little over an hour and a half here. For those of y'all just joining in, welcome to Calling All Bowlers, episode 22. We're talking to our good buddy Mark Dillard here out of Nashville, Tennessee. If anybody's got any questions they want to ask Mark when we get towards the end, we're going to throw it at Mark and let him give you his 50 and over answer, as I'm sure he would greatly appreciate.
Who's our moderator?
I believe that is Pickles.
Pickles?
Pickles is moderating. Let's just do this real quick here, Mark. Favorite bowling ball of all time and why? You can have one or multiple choices.
Well, in my response, I went with urethane and a reactive just to kind of separate the two. Okay. And again, I'm going to show my age here because most people in here probably ain't never heard of it. But in the urethane was the Columbia 300 Vector 2. So if you didn't know about the UDOT Vector series of balls in the 80s, that's where RG actually started, was with that line of balls. The UDOT, they all had pancake weight blocks, but the UDOT was against the shell. The Vector 1 was halfway between the shell and the center. The Vector 2, it was sitting dead in the center of the bowling ball. That's where RG started. The Vector 2, I shot my first 800 with a Vector 2. I've had 2 of them. I wish they would re-release it and go back to some simple things. They're trying to cut back on the reaction of some of this stuff. We'll go back to some of the simple technology. You can have all the strong covers, but weaken these cores, put pancakes back in them and just adjust where they are. I loved the Vector 2. It was one of my favorite all-time balls, but definitely favorite on the urethane side. And on the reactive side was the original black Hammer No Mercy.
I love that one. When you wrote that one, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a good one here.
I won way more money with that ball than anything else I've probably ever thrown in its life. When I came in, I don't remember what year it was. I remember it was in Reno. I finished 21st in singles at Nationals. Shot 782 or something like that. And it was with the Hammer No Mercy. So loved that ball.
Well, DJ's blown away by the fact that you said, wow, you didn't mention any plastic.
Favorite plastic ball of all time, the Hammer Tough. It's the one I threw 102 games in a league season and averaged 247 and a half. Had 8 300s and 8 800s in that one league.
There you go. 247, boy, you underachiever, you. I'm gonna make sure to let Kyle know that you did that with that ball and everything. I'm gonna be like, yeah, you think average of 244 is something. You can't be like Mark, average 247 with a plastic ball.
My biggest set ever, 869, went 290, 300, 279 with a hammer tough plastic ball. And the 290 game, first frame, 5-pin.
Why'd you throw your purse at that one, Mark? Oh God, dude, this has been really good. This has been really good, Mark. I appreciate you coming on to the show here. We're getting towards, as I call it, the winching hour. Yeah, as Pickles said, 5. So we're getting here. Like I said, if anybody's got any questions, Pickles, if you see anybody, just kind of reference them. We'll get to the end here when we do. But one of the things right here is this is kind of like the this is your time to shine as far as inspiring people, Mark. So everything you've accomplished, the incredible way you survived things that you spoke about earlier with the accidents and what have you, what has been the biggest life lesson that you have ever learned?
To apply myself. I had a teacher in the 9th grade. Her name was Miss Debbie Lewis. She stayed on me when I started. She was my 9th grade algebra teacher, beginning of high school. And back then it was 7th through 9th and then 10th through 12th. So my freshman year was actually at the junior high. But even when I went over to the high school after, she always kept tabs on me. She always talked to me. She tried her dangest to make me apply myself, and I wouldn't listen to her. But when I became an adult, and especially when I got married and my son was going to be born, everything that she said to me came circling back, went to the front of my brain, and it changed who I was. And I always give her credit for that. And like I told you in my answer, we still, the same woman that's cutting my hair since I was 14, cuts her hair. So we run into each other from time to time. Every once in a while, we'll send a message, hey, how you doing, back on social media. So we still, we're still in contact. Let's see, I was 15 then and I'm 51 now. So 36 years. She's basically stayed with me if she hadn't ever ordered those words, there's no telling where I'd be right now. But when my son was born, it all clicked and I turned it around. I used to have a joke, and DJ on the chat can back this up. At the bowling center, people always ask me if I was going to do anything today. You going to do anything today? And I'd tell them, go look at my contract. I'm supposed to do as little as possible and as long as it takes. So, yeah, I was lazy, self-admitted lazy, but that all changed the minute I found out I was going to have a kid. That completely changed, and I became a different person. So, but it was all due to her words and her caring and staying with me over the years and that kind of thing. So,
yeah, it's those people that you may not, like you said, you may not realize it until a certain life event, but I definitely understand that entirely. For me, was my papa, my mom's dad. My dad and I had not spoken about a year and a half. And we had a really bad falling out. And I don't know what happened that one day, but my papa looked at me and he's like, you talked to your dad? And I was like, no. And I was like 20 at the time. And he goes, you gonna call him? I said, he can call me. And I come to realize later on, after my papa passed, I was talking to my mom about that conversation. And I told her, I said, I don't understand why he was so adamant about me doing that. And it wasn't until my mom said, well, you don't understand, son. He never got to meet his dad because my great-grandfather died from tuberculosis in 29. And my papa was 3 then. So I think that I or anybody in here can definitely understand where you're coming from that regard of having that life-changing moment. And it's one of the things with me that I'm so grateful for is that, I ended up, it took us another 12 years, but my dad and I finally got back on good footing. And, I had about a good solid 2 years with him of a decent, father-son relationship up until his passing. And I've never forgotten my papa sitting me down and doing it. So I totally get where you're coming from, man. And like I said, I think anybody out here would understand that as well. So,
and my father, and I know yours isn't around anymore, but I'm 51 and I still have my father. I'm very fortunate. I had my grandparents until I was in my late 30s. I felt very fortunate, but my father's my hero. He's got a dry sense of humor. He can be annoying, that kind of thing.
Oh, so like you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Multiply it by 3 though, and you got him. But he's my hero, and I can tell you right now, if your boy goes missing, and you ever hear anything about my father passing, y'all check on your boy, because your boy may have to go to a padded room for a while. I don't know how I'm going to handle it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. So.
But DJ says you actually remember things, so.
Oh, no, DJ, you haven't talked to my father in a while. My father can't remember his own name. I mean, he will tell you the same story 3 times in a matter of 30 minutes. I mean, he's getting.
Michael says, wait, I know this guy, with a wink emoji. Oh, man. Well, I tell you, one final question here. Do you have any social media you want to plug on here for everybody? Are you trying to get into it?
I have TikTok. This is what I have. I do have my own personal Facebook page, which sometimes I'll post updates on bowling, and other times I'm posting about my kid or whatever. And being 51, I don't have a whole lot of social media. I do try to do this. I get more into the lives here. For me, that's fun. It's just hard for me to sit down and make videos and put them out, even though I want to do more. I want to do some educational things, TikTok lessons or whatever. I'm wanting to get into some more things like that. It's just really hard for me to find the time right now. There's a lot going on here. But I really want to get into it more. I've had people ask me to do more stuff, so I really want to do that. But I really like the live thing is fun. I love being on live. So,
well, before we get off here, this is more so a testament to how I feel about you and how I'm sure everybody else out here feels about you. Because again, I tag you in every single video that I post because again, you were one of the very first people that I guess, if I may say, saw the potential in DGAB. And one of the things, again, that really stood out to me is you were one of the first ones to notice when I wasn't around as frequent. And I've told people this time and again, I said, I've had a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of people really reach out and, message me and, ask if I'm okay. And it ain't nothing that, to downplay others checking on your boy, but y'all don't understand. Like, Mark was like one of the first ones to actually call me on the phone. And he was like, when I talked about my wrist and everything, he's like, you really giving this up? And you know how I was. I was in a bad spot, mentally especially. And, but Mark was one of the first ones that's like, dude, there's got to be something. Like, it's kind of like what you said about your math teacher. She wouldn't let up off of you. And that's kind of how I felt with, what you were doing, is you really wasn't letting up off your boy. And you were like, and I've never had anybody in my life go, I need my DGAB fixed. Like, none of the people on here have ever said, I need DGAB. So, and, like in that sense of, you know what I mean? But just a testament to you, my friend. I am so glad that I know you. I am so appreciative that you came into these live feeds that I was doing one day, and you being here and seeing the entire way that DGAP has evolved over the last 4 years since I started doing it, and the last probably 2 years since I started doing it really heavily here on TikTok. So I just want you to know that I am so grateful that you called me that day. You checked on me. You're trying to give suggestions. You're trying to help. And that is a testament to the character and the kind of person that you are, Mark. And I am I am so glad that, and even after learning about, what happened in 2016 and 2020, I'm really, really glad that you're still here, my friend. I'm so glad you're here, and I know there's a lot of people that are glad you're here. And if you guys haven't done so already, go to Mark Dillard Bowling, give him a follow on here, because I'm pretty sure he will get his TikTok stuff going. He will find his niche as I did. But I am just
NursingHomeBowling.com. Oh no.
What now?
NursingHomeBowling.com.
See, there you go. I'm telling you, we're gonna see it. Okay, we're gonna see it. But no, Mark, I just want you to know I am extremely grateful to know you, and you are one of the most awesome people I've ever met, my friend. And I'm glad to know you, friend.
Well, thank you. The honor's mine getting to meet you and getting involved with you and getting involved with this. It's brought me a lot of I don't know what's a lot of traffic to my TikTok. And I'll be honest with you, the talking bowling is great doing that, but the laughs that we have and the fun that we have doing this, mixing that in. Yes. It's that's the reason I need my DGAB fix. I don't, I interact with some other people on here and this, that, and the other, but it's not the fun, and it's not what we have. And this is just a great place to be. I just love it here.
Well, I appreciate that, Mark. And again, I think I speak for everybody. You're a wonderful human being, Mark. And I want to personally say if there were more Mark Dillards in the world, this would be a 100 times better place to be in. So, but
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Our good buddy Pickles does have a question for you, though. He says, "Can we get a list of your sponsors so we can flood the TikTok pages?"
I was going to do that at the beginning of this one. I said, "Welcome to Calling All Bowlers," brought to you by your sponsors at Insure, Depends, Miracle Ear, Life Alert, and Mobility Scooters.
We had a really good late night with DGAB Live where basically anybody and everybody just and it was right after you had said you were going to do the PBA 50 World Series of Bowling. I know that's when it was. You told everybody you were, and that's just when the stuff all flowed in. So,
well, and Richie's commentating on the final match at the Derrick Tate Memorial really got it going. So
that was the genesis.
I know he's not in here, but much love to Richie. Richie's a great guy. I've known him through bowling because he's here in Nashville for a while, but I've really gotten to know him over the past few months, especially since he did the analytical video of me, just like he did for you. I still get followers from that video to this day. I've probably gained 500 off of that video. So much love out to Richie. Richie's a great guy, really smart, and just fun to be around. He's a really good guy too. So
DJ wants me to ask you, has Amber senior proofed the house yet, Mark?
Nope, not yet. We're getting ready to rip it apart, so that may be part of the remodel. We're getting ready to replace all the floors in the house and remodel bathrooms and do that kind of rip it apart. So it's probably going to be senior proofed during that process. So non-slip floors, the little grip tape butterflies in the bottom of the bathtub so I don't fall down, some handrails, that kind of thing.
Don't say much. I'm gonna have to probably get me some handrails in my bathroom from my mom, so I get that. Elizabeth says that she does work in a nursing home if you need help. Bowling question here from my good boy my good buddy Ramirez. Jeez, there's a clip. He's under the at handle of Depressed Bengals fan. Me and him had a good talk about that. But no, so he came in. I plugged a couple of balls for him. I went plugged it left-handed to right-handed, and I posted in my TikTok. And Ramirez comes out and he shoots 300 with the ball I've replugged. And I can tell you this, as a pro shop operator, and I'm sure Mark you can concur with this. That's the best feeling in the world is when we do something like that for a customer and they just come on out and they have success with it. But I'm gonna let you answer this one, Mark, since you're our guest of honor. The Tower of Power, Too Sweet to Be Sour, The American Dream, Mark Dillard. What are your thoughts on the Black Widow 3.0?
I don't have an opinion on it because I've not thrown it. I didn't own it. Is that the hybrid or was the 2.0 the hybrid?
No,
See, it's hard for me to keep up anymore.
3.0 is the really dull, aggressive solid.
Dull, aggressive solid.
That upgraded from the 2.0.
Are we mid or low RG on that one?
Oh, dude, it's got the Widow core in it. You know that the differential is what makes that ball. Ramirez, that might be, in my opinion, that might be a lot of ball for you, buddy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, depending on what kind of bowler he is, I didn't get to see that video or him throwing it. Did you video the 300? Did you have that?
He sent me the clip of it. I did post it in there. So everyone
Uh,
says it doesn't fit within the widow line. I mean, look, here's the thing. They essentially took the 2.0, the original 2.0, and they added HK22. And it's just, to me, I have mine hit with 1,000 pad every time it gets lane shine. And that's the ball I use when I can't make anything hook.
Wow.
Yeah.
That hooks that much, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So, Ramirez, I hope that answers your question.
Well, I was going to say, I guess from what I'm hearing now, I guess it's where you want it to fit into your bag, what you're looking for. If you want something that's sounds like smooth and controllable and read a pattern early and not get squirrely on you, that's a great ball to go with. But if you've already got that in your bag and you need something else, just keep what you have, I guess. Just depends on where you want to fit it into your arsenal.
I think it's also important to know, this is again coming from a shop guy, two shop guys actually here, but one thing to know is, and I think that's another thing that goes back into, like, when it comes to building an arsenal, like, you've got to know, like, what is your purpose for picking each bowling ball? Again, I say that whether it's like, whether you're just bowling league once or twice a week, or, like in Mark's case here, I'm pretty sure Mark is going to have his more than his fair share of bowling equipment going up here to the PBA 50. Speaking of which, when does that start? We never told everybody. When are you heading up there for that, Mark?
I leave Tuesday. We're leaving Tuesday morning. Practice starts, the practice day is on the 9th, and then we start competition on the 10th.
Ooh, okay. So what's the first pattern you're bowling on since it's the World Series?
Amuleto Monticelli pattern. I think it's the 37-foot one, which I got to looking at it. We're bowling on three of the 4 patterns we're bowling on are under 40 feet. Not really excited about that, but I do have urethane now and a raw hammer, so I think I can manage, maybe get through. So
always remember, Mark, you have plastic. You are the plastic king, my friend.
I actually have 2 of them.
There you go. See, hey, DJ wants to know, where is that at? I know you said, Michigan, but where at in Michigan?
It's in Jackson, Michigan, at Jack 60 Lanes.
So what's the format? I mean, is it like just
you bowl 8 games of qualifying in each one? So we'll bowl 8 games. If you make match play, you come back that evening to bowl your 8 games of match play or whatever, and then they cut to the top 5 for the show. But I haven't seen exactly how it's laid out yet, but I'm thinking it's a tournament every 2 days, where you could bowl, if you bowl the max number of games and won every one of them, you're bowling 20 games a day. So you're talking about 80 to 100 games in a 10-day time.
Ooh, you're really going to need some sponsors after this, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I do have one real sponsor, and thank goodness for that guy, because I'm not having to pay a dime for anything while I'm gone. So,
well, listen, everybody. You've been a part of Calling All Bowlers episode 22 with our good buddy and friend, Mark Dillard. We are pretty much done with everything here. Like I said, Mark's going to start trying to build his social media with TikTok and stuff like that. So y'all stay tuned. Nursing home bowling. I'm expecting that to happen in the next 6 months, Mark. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to make this happen. We're going to talk this into existence.
I think Richie and I are going to get the Bowling Nerd. For those of you that don't know his real name, the Bowling Nerd are going to get together since he's local, and we're going to get me the new Columbia Pulse that they're releasing, and we're going to do a Life Alert commercial with it somehow. So be looking for that on TikTok.
I see what you did there. That's smart. That's next level. That's next level right there. Okay. Well, all right, everybody. I appreciate you guys being a part of episode 22 of Calling All Bowlers. Please stay tuned for next Saturday night. We will be talking to Miss Amanda, also known as the dental hygienist here on TikTok Live. She is from North Carolina. She's going to be on the show. And you guys will be hearing, you'll be seeing some previews of that coming up this week when I drop some stories and stuff on my TikTok. But as always, if you haven't done so already, please consider following, liking, subscribing. $2.99 a month, as Mark has come to say, along with David Clemens, it's cheaper than a Happy Meal. Totally worth it. We're going to be having some good stuff coming up for subscribers only here soon. And if you haven't done so already, please go give us a subscribe on the YouTube channel. We just eclipsed 600 subscribers, so appreciate y'all for that. And we're also on Facebook and Instagram, so go give us a follow on that. Damn Good Average Bowler. Cannot miss the beaver, as you see up here. And if you didn't get a chance to see my last video, that Richie, all credit goes to him. We got. Sorry,
How do you feel about that, Mike? Let's talk. Let me ask you a question. How did you feel about what he did and what he said?
I mean, I completely get where he's coming from. I do know that Joel asked me earlier about my pitch changes that I tried, and I told him that while it wasn't as crippling, it did help. Like I said, my wrist was on fire after that, but it wasn't as crippling as it was about 2 months ago. I don't think people really understand why I felt the way I did 2 months ago, because all I was doing was I retaped my thumb hole on my interchangeable, and I was swinging it back just to try to make sure the feel was good, and I lost all grip power. Like, all my strength went away, and I luckily caught the tip so it wouldn't go through the shop wall. It was that close. And when I did, that pain just shot all the way up and through, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to get through 32 weeks of this if I don't, and I was mentally, I was done. Like, I have been done, like, mentally for a while, just because of factors I'm not going to discuss on here. But again, it's one of those things. You calling me going, hey man, this can't be it. And I was like, look, I can contribute in other ways, but I'm still able to roll it. I just, like what I did for Richie, I made myself get through that, and I did get through that. But he has a lot of good points, Joel. That's the thing about it on here that makes it so awesome, Mark, is it's the community. It's, we truly, and there's a group of people on here know that we want to help. And that's what I've always said DGAB has been incorporated around in our mission statement, is we want to help people. We want to educate people. And we want to do it in the way that it makes it fun and easy to understand. Because there's so many times in everything where you run into situations where the numbers and the technical part of it, there's a ton of gray areas where the internet can just misconstrue things and make people think stuff that isn't really what it is, if you will. So, when that happened, I was just like, okay, well, I'm relegating myself to doing this. And the thing about it was, Mark, is I was happy. I was content with it. And I knew, like, right around the corner, it was like you calling me, Pickles was met. Everybody on here was like, dude, are you really done? Is this really it? And I was like, the way I am right now, and it still could be, because now my team on Monday night, we don't know if we're going to bowl in the fall. And if that's the case, my goal is to bowl just enough games to have an average for if I go to city, or if I go to state, or if I do, the Southern next year, that's here in Huntsville as well. It's just one of those, doing just enough to have that average, that certified average. And, even Richie and I talked about it the day he was here. He goes, rest is not always a bad thing. And he definitely said that he could tell that I had been out of the loop for about a month and a half. So, I mean, like I said, we got a lot of help on here, and we got a lot of people you can follow. And like I said, Mark's one of them. Pickles is one of them. Britt, Joel, Cober, Steve, Steven, all of these people on here. I mean, like, there's so many to name. But it's just Victor. I'd be amiss if I forgot Victor. Victor's another good source of information.
Victor's one of the best sources of information. That's just, yeah.
Dude, I'll tell you what I tell people. Victor and Richie, they have such a way with describing and being descriptive in their TikToks. It's absolutely incredible. So any and everybody that, comes across people you may know, go give them a look. Look at the information they're given, and don't be afraid to give them a follow and ask questions, because that's what makes this a great community. So
I agree. And I think I told you before I watched it, and you weren't lofting the ball like you were before in some of your other videos, your 300 videos and that kind of thing. You did look a lot smoother. I did see something I wouldn't have seen at full speed when he was talking about your bicep muscles and you not bending your elbow. That's a good point to go through. I just don't want to see you not be able to bowl. It's not that I want you to bowl leagues all the time or stay in it. I don't want you to not be able to bowl. That's just, it's part of your life. I know it's just like me. I've tried to retire from it twice and I just can't do it. You have too big of a love for it to get out of it. But I think I think the best thing now, if you bowl that league, that's fine. If you don't, subbing enough to get your average for the yearbook so you can bowl in your city and your state, but taking the rest of the year off and concentrate, give that some rest in your arm, but concentrate on the new grip to make it more comfortable for you. And you're probably, at the end of the day, you got the advice from Joel, you tried that. You got some things to try from me. You've probably got some things to try from other people or whatever. And your solution is probably going to be somewhere in the middle of all of that advice.
Yep.
It's going to be a little piece from here, a little piece from there, a little piece from this, a little piece from that. Exactly. And I think that we'll be able to get you to where you can go back to bowling and not having any pain. It may take a little while, but I really think the best thing would be subbing this year and getting enough games, but just take the year off and focus on getting that fixed.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing I told Kyle. I said this to him, and I said this to Lou. I said, "You guys are the only guys I'll break my wrist for," because I go to the ends of the earth for that team right there. We've done some incredible things in 6 seasons. We won 5 in a row, and we made the finals this past year, and we came up short. So it's just one of those little things, where you just. You got to know your limit. You got to trust your plan. And it's like you said, again, and I think that's one of the things that a lot of people didn't understand with me, that more people were sad for me than I was. And again, I appreciate that. Y'all have no idea how much I appreciate that. I really do. But it's just you got to listen to your body. You got to listen to your mind and what you're focused on. And eventually, again, if you come back to it, you'll come back to it. And if I don't ever come back to it full time, if that's not the case, it's okay. I want everybody to know that you're still going to see me rolling the rock every now and then if it's not in a full-time capacity this year. So just understand, I appreciate every single one of y'all. That's basically the end of it here. So, but I don't want to make this at the end about me. Like I said, I want to make this about our good buddy Mark here, episode 22 of Calling All Bowlers. I appreciate every single one of y'all for coming in, interacting with us. And like I said, stay tuned for next Saturday at 6 Central. We will be talking to Miss Amanda, the dental hygienist from North Carolina. And you guys will be seeing some promos for that here on the story. And also, yes, Elizabeth's in here. She's going to be on here with us in August. And also coming up is we're going to be talking to upcoming guests. So Amanda, we're also going to be talking to Patrick from New Mexico. It's going to help me check off another state. And Miss Elizabeth right here. And we're actually also working on getting Steve Rublin on here too. So we're going to be rocking and rolling here because, as Mark knows with your boy DGAB here, once September hits, or the last Saturday in August, as you are with hockey, I am about football. So, but anyhow, I can't say that 3 times fast.
I got one more thing to plug.
I'll plug it away.
Before we get off here. If it ain't on your calendar already, May 14th, 15th, 13th, 15th, whatever it is, put it on your calendar to bowl the Derrick Tate Memorial. We want to get to 100 entries this year. Spread the word, bring a group. It'll be worth the trip for the weekend. There's events for 3 days. Come be a part of it. Come be a part of the cause. It'll fill your heart to see what you do for that family by coming to support it. It'll fill Mike's heart. Put it on your calendar. Go ahead and make plans. You've got a year to plan it. Make plans to come that weekend and let's make this big, because I really think after 53 entries the first year and how well it went, this could get to be big in the next 2 to 3 years. So let's talk it up. Let's get it out there. Mike, get us some flyers made. Push it and put it on your calendar. Derrick Tate Memorial next in 2026.
Yep, May of 2026. Anybody's wondering about that, I'm clicking here real quick. It is going to be, May 15th, 16th, and 17th, May 2026. So there you go, everybody. Well, all right. That's another thing, too. The last DGAB tournament of the season coming up on October 4th and 5th, 2-day event. I know Mark said he's probably going to be here for that. The DGAB Fall Scratch Endurance Classic. We're going to have 5 games on the USBC Masters pattern from this season. And then on Sunday, we're going to be on US Open number 3, 2019, which is 37 feet. So 44, 37, it's going to be a good mix. 10-pin total pinfall is going to be your champion. And like I said, hope you guys can make it out. But this has been Calling All Bowlers, episode 22. Mark, I appreciate you as always, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And until next time, as our good friend Stephanie says, we will catch you on
the flippity flip.
The flippity flip. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Mark, you have a good night, buddy.
Thanks, everyone.